So Greg, I mean, I'm not sure if I need to tell you this, but some of your shirts are kind of crappy. I mean, you know,
What do you mean by crappy? They got a sweet little pocket right here.
I mean they
That's
could be better. I mean, there's a place I know where it has lots of cool stuff. Uh,
Yeah, but how cool?
we're talking about triple A cool. We're talking about shirts from 86.com. They're a pretty cool site. They sell all types of merchandise, including t-shirts, keychains, and other cool stuff that they sell on their site. And also have awesome video game material as well, such as Street Fighter, Killer Instinct, Guilty Gear, Skullgirls, BlazBlue, Smite, and 86's own brand of t-shirts as well as other stuff. Recently, they put out some new keychains for Street Fighter 5. So, yeah, there's some awesome stuff there. So I'm just suggesting, next time you go out and buy a shirt of any kind, I suggest check out 86.com. And if you want to support us and them at the same time, please use this link in your web browser to check out 86.com. Put in www.86.com question mark AFF equals 4. Again, www.86.com question mark AFF equals 4. This link will tell them that we sent you and that we're cool with them as long as you're cool with us. Thank you and enjoy the show. Hang on, guys. Before anybody can say anything or do anything, the sound of that beautiful, beautiful sound only means one thing. It's time for another episode of Mission Star Podcast. With me today or tonight, I should say, the only person I believe that would able to fit my yin to my yang, and that is Greg Dietz.
Was that a fat joke?
No, I didn't even go there. But sure, all right. I mean, not really. Okay, I'm just painting myself in a very bad picture right now. For the
I actually had a moment where I'll talk about this later during the Overwatch minute, but ready to play Heroes of the Storm, and somebody was like, "Quit running in so much, you're squishy," and I just typed, and I was like, "Is that a fat joke?" Or I was like, "Are you calling me fat or something like that?" So,
That's great. That's
yeah.
awesome. But yeah, we are back with another episode of Mission Star Podcast, and we got some stuff. We got some stuff to talk about. And just ahead of time, we're actually gonna begin our E3 talk tonight on the podcast because E3 is coming up next month, and we're all excited. And we gotta talk about our predictions, what's to come for Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, and then we'll try to get to other ones as well if we can. But we got some news to talk about. Let's talk about something that's actually pretty important in my opinion. We're talking about, well, that's not it actually. Hang on, that's for later. Did I put in the wrong one? Yes, I did. Okay. Oh no, wait, that's right. What am I saying? I'm dumb. Sorry. I'm completely dumb. All right. So this was reported off of the National Museum of Play. This is nationalmuseumofplay.org. 2017 World Video Game Hall of Fame inductees has been announced. Donkey Kong, Halo, Pokemon Red and Green, and Street Fighter 2. This was written by Mrs. Shane Ronwald. The games of third class of the World Video Game Hall of Fame generated gaming icons, redefined the first-person shooter, started a monster collecting craze, and forged the fighting game genre before taking their place in the esteemed hall. Donkey Kong, Halo, Combat Evolved, Pokemon Red and Green, and Street Fighter 2 have been inducted into the World Video Game Hall of Fame and emerged from a field of 12 finalists that also included Final Fantasy VII, Microsoft Windows, Solitaire, Mortal Kombat, Myst, Portal, Resident Evil, Tomb Raider, and Wii Sports. The 4 inductees span multiple decades, the countries of origin, and gaming platforms, but all have significantly affected the video game industry, popular culture, and society in general. And I'll put the link in here in the chats. It's cool. I love it.
Yeah.
I
like
love
I'm totally on board with those 4 games you just mentioned. I guess technically 5 for Red and Blue, but no, they're the same game. And I'm joking. Something that it says in there is about like genre defining games, and I think, and I've talked about this a lot, especially with Halo, that a lot of people who dislike Halo constantly say that it's not the first game to do what it did. That there were a ton of games on PC that did what it did, yada, 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 yada. And I go, that's nice and all. That's great. There's a lot of games that did first-person shooters on an action combat scale before Halo. You know what Halo did before anybody else? Make it accessible to a huge, wide audience. What Halo did was something that Quake, something that Half-Life, something that even GoldenEye on the 64 couldn't do, and that was make these first-person shooters feel more of a skill-based thing that anybody could get into, and more of just a hobby. Halo changed that. Halo 100% changed that, both PC and Xbox-wise. It sold. It's what sold Xboxes. Behest Microsoft's, efforts.
Yeah.
hashtag blinks the cat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, forgot that happened.
Oh yeah. That's they wanted to be their mascot, but turned out to be Master Chief.
Yeah.
And you talk about red and blue, red versus blue. I mean, there's another one. There's another reason.
Oh,
yada
yeah,
yada.
Definitely.
Rooster Teeth wouldn't be what they are without Halo. But
yeah, for sure.
But then, talk about red and blue, and it did the same thing, but for RPGs. It made RPGs accessible to a ton of people.
Mm-hmm.
And now today, like, a new Pokemon game could come out, and people will be up in arms about getting it, whereas, Bravely Default doesn't do as well, even though it's in the same category of turn-based. It's a whole thing. Of course, Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
Fighting games wouldn't be what they are today at all without Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Donkey Kong, yeah, it absolutely, like, if it weren't for Donkey Kong, Mario wouldn't be what he is. That was the first appearance of Mario, and then we had the Mario Brothers arcade game, and then Super Mario Brothers, and then it just, snowballed into what he is today. So all 4 definitely deserve to be there.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I definitely agree. Like, they all deserve to be there, and I think this has been long overdue, in my opinion, with these games. There are also a ton of other games that was listed that had a pretty good, genre-defining game in there, but these, I think, specifically were much needed, and it's great. It's awesome to have them in the Hall of Fame for this, and it's a great honor. So I think each of these these games are both, as you said, like, very genre defining, RPG, first person shooter, fighting, and platformer. So this is great. I love it.
Yeah.
Freaking awesome. So I just wanted to get that out there.
Congratulations to all 4 games.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Moving on to our next story. Hang on a second here. I'm actually lowering this down a little bit. Okay. All right. So, remember, I think we had this conversation last week, and I think it was like, just the conversation, like, hey, some games that we thought are dead are, alive, and speaking of which, a game that I have not heard in a long time happened to be announced as a sequel to it. Well, this was reported by IGN.com by Elena Pars. Darksiders 3 First-hand on previews, IGN first. Gunfire Games has a unique name of Darksiders 3 internally, a phrase I heard multiple times during my visit to Austin. Classy Siders. The latest iteration of the franchise is undoubtedly an extension of those that came before it. Our new protagonist, Fury, looks like she fit perfectly in a family photo next to the original game's hero War, with a frenetic assortment of aggressive-looking skills across her armor. It's still post-apocalyptic, hack and slash action adventure too, with a combat speed somewhere in between the first and second game, but they put the focus on trying to make things less gamey, in quotes. I did not expect this at all. Like, I have not heard Darksiders in a very long time, and I mean, look, a lot of things happened when THQ went down. They sold a lot of their IPs. We had no idea like what was to become of them. Darksiders specifically, that was a game that I don't think I've heard of in a long time, nor did I expect a sequel. And ironically, THQ Nordic is the one to bring it back to life with a sequel to 3. By any chance, did you check out the trailer for Darksiders 3?
I haven't yet. I plan on it, but the reason that I haven't is because Darksiders is a weird franchise for me. Back when the first one had come out, I tried to play it and I got stuck. About 6 hours in, like to the point like I went back to areas that I had gone before, over and over and over, and couldn't figure out what I needed to do. And it was basically like there were these bad guys in an area I had to defeat with a very specific skill, and didn't know that I had to do that. It was very frustrating, and so I stopped playing it. And then people were like, "Well, you got to play 2 because it's just designed better." Okay, never got around to it. Just never did it. And I'd been a little turned off from the franchise because of that. So when 3 was announced and I saw like a little bit of game footage or whatever where she has a whip, and people were kind of calling it like, oh, it looks like it's Castlevania but like with the Zelda elements. I was like, that sounds interesting. So there's a good chance I'll check it out, because as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, Darksiders 1 and 2 do happen in the same universe, but they do not they do not coincide with one another. Mm-hmm. They're almost 2 entirely different stories. So if that's the case with this one, I'll probably check it out. But it's hard for me to be excited for something that I just don't have a strong history with, you know?
Right, and I get it, definitely. I mean, it's... I wouldn't say it's in the same mythos as like a Beyond Good and Evil, because that was like teased for so long, and then it was, alive, was it not alive, was it happening, was it not happening? Like Darksiders 3, like nobody expected it because like, there was Darksiders 1 and 2, and then when THQ went down, we didn't expect anything other than that. And
I also thought I heard that Darksiders 2 did not do that well at all.
Yeah, it actually did not do as well. It did okay, but it didn't put the world on fire. So the thing about it is like just kind of what's interesting to me is THQ Nordic reviving a series that some people are really excited for, but I don't honestly like for Darksiders, like outside of the fans, like I'm not sure if I heard much of anybody else getting hyped for it.
Yeah.
Like in general, in the
it did come from out of nowhere.
Yeah, so it's very weird, but at the same time, I'm wondering how it will look, how it will play out. I mean, I think the story is interesting. I think I like that idea of like the 4 horsemen and like type of mythology.
I think it's interesting that they kind of went away from what the first 2 games' themes were with the War and Death, and going like this different route entirely is interesting, but and maybe it'll breathe life into the franchise and more people will play it. I certainly hope so, but they can't release a half-assed product. If they do, the franchise will completely fail.
Agreed. Yeah, that they have to nail it perfectly. Otherwise, they're gonna fall flat on their face. And especially for a company who is new. Well, I won't say rather new, but like still like holding the THQ brand, but at the same time are new. You gotta be sure you nail your game right, or else it might be
The
jumping.
other thing that the big hurdle they're going to have to come across, and I hate to say that it's going to be a thing, but it's totally going to be a thing, is their game is this open world exploration type thing. They are going to have to compete with people saying, comparing it to Breath of the Wild.
I would. I would.
They're going to have to. They're going to have. It doesn't matter whether you agree with it or not. They're going to have to. Like, people are going to compare it.
Like everybody compares every game. Let me rephrase that. Everybody compares every game to another game because that's the closest thing they can think of. There will be arguments. There will be comparison between this and Breath of the Wild. It happened when Breath of the Wild came out and Horizon came out in the same week, and
Right.
there were comparisons from a lot of people, and there were two completely different games. I wouldn't doubt this would be another case of that. In this case, we haven't seen any gameplay footage yet. I think there's gameplay footage out there.
Yeah, because that's all I've seen is gameplay footage.
Oh, I just saw the trailer. I didn't watch the gameplay footage. So indulge me. Is it open world?
Yeah, it's Zelda-esque with Castlevania style combat.
Okay.
Or at least that's what I saw.
Okay.
I guarantee you we'll see more coming up very soon.
Oh,
but
yeah, freaking E3 coming up. We'll see more of it. We might get another trailer. We might see some more, gameplay footage for sure.
I guarantee gameplay footage. But I'm saying, like, the problem that I'm going to see, the problem that you and I are going to see a lot with this game releasing is that because it's, again, an open world exploration type game, that, like, the franchise itself has emphasized on being Zelda-like, which is great. Like, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Especially on Darksiders 2, like that game was even more so Zelda-esque. But the problem that is going to happen is that, sorry, I all of a sudden just like every bit of gas decided to come at the one time. The biggest problem that we are going to, like, and I'm going to fight it too, because I hate it. I hate that people want to compare and contrast, but yeah, they're just gonna have to deal with that. They're gonna have to come across those people all the time saying, "Well, it's not as good as Breath of the Wild." So, and I see that as a problem the company's gonna have to deal with. I see that as a make or break sales for some people, and that's unfortunate. That's all I'm getting at.
Yeah, it is, and it's unfair, but that's kind of the way that the game industry is, at least right now.
Yeah, I mean, look at Saints Row, for example. They and this is more so what I'm getting at too. They had to deal with that too. They had to deal with people comparing it to GTA, and they rose above it and made it its own thing now. So, and I'm very excited for Agents of Mayhem. They're gonna have to do something in it that is distinctively not Zelda, is my point. Like, so distinctively not Zelda that people just don't compare it as often.
Yeah. It's gonna happen, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, there's still a ton of time before the game comes out. We'll see more footage of it at E3, no doubt, and we'll probably have a better impression of what the game looks and feels.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah. Anyways, moving on to our next story. Okay, so as we've been saying, E3 is around the corner, and we are all excited for what's to come. One of the things that are often going to be brought up during this next couple of weeks are just rumors and just things that may or may not happen.
Speculation out the wazoo.
Oh yeah, definitely. So each thing you might hear, take it for a grain of salt. Like this news story. This was reported by Liam Robertson from WWG.com. Assassin's Creed, the next Assassin's Creed is named Origins, rumored to feature naval combat. Assassin's Creed is set to return in 2017, back from its brief hiatus after having skipped 2016. For keen fans of the series, however, the inconsistent leaks emerging or the incessant leaks emerging from this year's installment have almost made it through and never left us. What? Hang on. Anyways, as E3 2017 looms, these leaks are only becoming more frequent. Under the veil of anonymity, I cannot talk tonight. Ubisoft sources have approached us to provide fresh details from this year's game. Previously, the good folks at Kotaku indicated that the project's working title was Assassin's Creed Empire and would take place in Egypt. Since then, we received new information that suggests the game is now called Assassin's Creed Origins and is currently scheduled to be revealed at E3 2017.
Okay. First off, yes, we absolutely should take any leak that we hear from here on out as pure speculation and nothing more, nothing less.
Agreed. Yes.
Secondly, Ubisoft has learned their lesson with every year a new Assassin's Creed. There's not enough development time. You get lots of bugs and breaks, and like the last, what was the last one? The one you're showing the trailer of.
That was Syndicate.
Syndicate, thank you. I was like, it's not Unity.
Yeah.
Syndicate was a good game, but it was still broken, and they've learned that lesson, so I'm glad to see that the development time is more than just a year. That being said, I just don't personally see them taking the storyline to the beginning of the Assassin's Guild. I don't see the purpose of that. Like, sure, you could do the whole, Abstergo's trying to find someone's DNA line that goes all the way back to, Egypt when the guild was formed and yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. But I just think that that's, to an extent, poor storytelling. Because it's not about, let's throw this out here. And I'm going straight into lore, okay?
Okay, alright.
Why would Abstergo, searching for items that are in a single location that they have to find them, go back all the way to the beginning to find something that probably has moved? They're trying to find all the pieces of Eden. That's their goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
If a piece of Eden has moved from Egypt to somewhere else, and let's say the Assassin's Guild started in Egypt, why? None of it makes sense. Not a lick of it makes sense.
Yeah.
To go back that far. I personally think that a fun way to continue the story is to keep it going towards the future. To the point where we get an Assassin's Creed in the future. In the future of like the Abstergo stuff. Like something that like Ezio's story did that I thought was really cool was you played as Desmond. And it took place now, and there were missions where you went into Abstergo's buildings that were in that particular future, and that kind of stuff was awesome. Desmond's final game, the 5th game, and it sucked. But the ending, the ending sucked. The story didn't. The ending was terrible. But like, there's sequences where it could take place in the future. There's sequences where you could have an entire city where you're climbing skyscrapers, and I just think that that's really awesome. Like, you could change the gameplay so much, but you have to lead up to that. So what's the furthest in the timeline from where they've had the story take place in the Industrial Revolution with Syndicate? So what's the next big step? Where could they take it after that? And then and then keep going towards the future. Have one in World War II. Like, there's just so many options and possibilities that I think would just be a lot better than going backwards.
The interesting thing about the entire series is like it was kind of going in that direction where like it was going from one era to another, and eventually a lot of us, including me, like I'm thinking like we're gonna have eventually an Assassin's Creed War like in the future, like where I guess where it's at now. Well, technically, my gut is telling me that my gut's telling me that I don't think they know what to do with Assassin's Creed in a World War II or anything to a modern day. Because, like, most of the stuff
they probably don't.
Yeah, because most of the stuff has been in the past. You know, they'd be able to use different locations. Different themes. You got Black Flag, which is like ships. I won't say pirate era, but like what's the
Black Flag was a fun game to play because it had a fun setting, but that was still going backwards. And the end of the game, like, it didn't really advance the Abstergo time storyline thing. It didn't do
yeah
anything.
yeah.
So like there's just
I
I don't know.
I kind of feel like they did this to themselves. If you think about it, after what
Oh,
happened.
they backed themselves in a corner.
Yeah. So I'm I wonder how long they can keep this up. I'm just curious now. Like, I have no idea what Origins is going to be, or if it's called that. If we have a new Assassin's Creed game, which I think we will because it's been a
I'll
year
say
off.
I'll say this, Anthony. I'll say this. If the game is Assassin's Creed Origins and it takes place to the beginning of the Assassin's Guild, it better have absolutely nothing to do with Abstergo, no animuses. Like, it's all in Egypt. You play as a character in Egypt and nothing else. Period. Like, you can't, like, I cannot stress this enough.
Do you think
Like,
they'll think they'll do that? Do you think that they'll take that risk?
I think they should. I think by completely taking away the futuristic aspect of the game and telling the beginning of the Assassin's Guild, I think fans would enjoy it. I definitely think that fans would be totally down for that. I don't see how you could write yourself into such a corner to basically say that your company would be looking for something that far into the past when they've already gone so far towards the future. Like, they're searching for pieces of Eden, and every time they get a step closer, it's because they, like, it just kept moving through time. So they need to find they need to find where it is, not where it started off at. And I couldn't even think of why, in my own head, I couldn't think of why Abstergo would be, like, why they would look into the past. I can't imagine why they would give two rats patoots about the origins of the Assassin's Guild. I couldn't think of why that would be.
It had to be it had to be his own different story, like different characters, different story, and the reason for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not sitting there saying that it's not possible that they could
but
create a draft a story that has to do with, like, oh, Abstergo found this thing and it takes place in Egypt and it's back in the days of pharaohs and yada yada yada, and it turns out that that's also the same time the Assassin's Guild was created, so we need to figure out, like, where it all started and see if we can find clues to, like, I'm sure they could do something, but to completely stop the trail of pieces of Eden, the prehistoric alien race, like, I don't know. I felt like every game after what was the last Desmond game?
3.
Oh, so yeah, 3. Thank you. I think every game after 3 has been a major misstep.
I agreed. But again, I think that they did them to themselves, and they have themselves to blame for it.
That I agree with too.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. E3 will give us all the answers. Hopefully. They usually do, but you never know sometimes. Moving on to our next story. Okay, so this is a game I have very little knowledge of until recently, but this is reported off at IGN.com. Again, this is by Matt Porter. PlayerUnknown's Battleground hits 2 million copies sold. PlayerUnknown's Battleground has been wildly popular since its launch into early access in March and has now sold over 2 million copies. To celebrate, developer Bluehole Incorporated is going to hold a live stream on Twitch and will match all donations up to $100,000, benefiting the Gamers Outreach charity, which provides games and tech to children in hospitals. And it goes on to say more about the charity, but it's okay. I had no idea what this game was, until I found out recently it's basically battle royale, like the old movie with guns.
Yeah, it's condensed DayZ.
Yeah, and man, that is, first of all, it is an incredible feat for a game to sell 2 million copies, which a game is not even done yet.
Okay, first off, we talked about this. I don't remember when. Maybe we didn't talk about it. No, we didn't talk about it. Okay. Back when we were Atlas had done their thing with constricting or telling streamers and YouTubers you can only go past a certain point in Persona 5.
Yeah.
I was this was one of the weeks we didn't stream, and I had an argument with Slappy and Chris Creer about the effectiveness that the internet YouTubers and streamers have on a game's sales.
Mm-hmm.
This is a perfect example of that being the case.
Oh wow, this was a prime example of this.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, think about it, dude. Like, what did you see all over Twitch? Well, I mean, what did I see all over Twitch? Like, one of the top played games shortly after it came out.
Yeah, it was PlayerUnknown. It was up there. It was up there, and I wondered if it was like an event or something else, but it turns out to be an actual game, and it's
a
crazy.
Full-on game. It's just I have no interest in that kind of game, but people do, so more power to them. But this it's just a perfect example of how the impact streamers and YouTubers can have on a game's sales.
Oh, definitely. Wow, yeah.
I as much as I don't care to play the game, I adore that the developers acknowledges that fact and has taken it to the next step and is like, we're giving it back. Mm-hmm. And we're giving it to kids, we're giving money to kids that can't, they can't get them in hospitals, which is one of my favorite charities, Child's Play. I know it's not Child's Play they're doing it with, but
right.
It's just awesome to see that, and the community itself as a whole seems to be on board with it, and I love this story. I love that streamers who play the game are just kind of so behind it that I don't know. I could gush about how much I like it. The point I'm getting at is don't underestimate the power of the internet ever.
Agreed. You never underestimate the power of the internet, and know if there's a challenge to be put out there by the internet will take it and beat it tenfold. It's incredible to me the fact that a game what is not fully completed. I mean, people would say that it is fully completed, but not, from the developer side say it's not complete. Still able to sell 2 million copies. Is
again the only reason
impressive.
The only reason it did was because of streamers, man.
Man, wow.
That's what I'm getting at, is that the game had no advertising. I haven't seen a single commercial on YouTube, a single ad on Twitch, yet the game has sold 2 million copies. Why?
That's a very good point. Yeah. Wow.
So, and because of that, because of streamers playing the game and selling copies, inadvertently selling copies, the developer has gone to the point where now it's helping children who can't get games. I can't express how awesome that is.
Yeah, definitely.
There's just the chain of awesome snowballing on each other. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really awesome. Yeah, the power of Twitch. Hey, Twitch is awesome. That our Lord and Masters, if you're watching, thank you so graciously to give this power that we have. No, but it's really cool. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, but that's all I want to say is you were surprised that it was 2 million copies sold, and I'm expressing as to why, and then furthering that with the fact that story is a thing, and that they're giving back.
It's a feel-good story all around.
Yeah, if you ever question can a game sell without advertising? Yes, yes it can.
Yes it can. All right, moving on to our next story, which is, again, we're in the ether rumor mill, but this is one that seems to be more true, at least when it comes to the reporting. But the weirdest crossover may be happening to the Switch. The rumored Mario x Rabbids RPG is real and coming to the Switch. This was reported off of Kotaku.com. Jason Schroeder One of the fall's big Nintendo Switch games will be Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, a game that has been rumored for quite some time and does indeed exist. As confirmed by art assets provided by Kotaku, the game will mix Nintendo's iconic plumber and friends with characters from Ubisoft's popular Rabbids series. Although the person who sent the assets asked us not to share them, they collaborate with the existence of a bizarre crossover RPG that's currently scheduled to come to the Switch in August or September. Ubisoft is developing Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle on the publisher's proprietary Snowdrop engine. Okay, so using that engine. According to the assets we've seen, the game's selling points appear to be A, turn-based combat, B, two-player local co-op, and C, a goofy sense of humor. The art we've seen features Mario and a crew building guns that shoot laser beams. And I'll post this in the chat. That's weird. Okay, so apparently this is real. Apparently this is real, but it's not a crossover I would have thought would happen.
So how do we know it's real? Like, because the guy said I have assets and it's real. Trust me.
Apparently on Kotaku's website they shared our assets, and this was reported on multiple other sites. Apparently, like the characters you can choose from are Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad, and then the other 4 characters are basically just the Rabbids versions of them, but in their costumes. So, apparently
that's super fucking. I'm sorry to throw the F-bomb out there, but man, that's so weird. Like, I don't know that I'm even like. I really hope they show a lot of footage of it at E3, because if it's real and they show it and it's. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's all I can say to that. So
I know.
Weird.
I know, right? Like Ubisoft has they have a history with Nintendo products, with Wii and Wii U, with their Rayman series and other games. Rabbids specifically, since that was like the first like popular game on the Wii was the Rabbids Raving game. I did not expect to hear about this mashup of these two universes colliding, and it's kind of weird but interesting at the same time. I guess it makes sense in a sense of like the relationship between what Ubisoft and Nintendo has. So I don't know. We'll see more at E3, but I'm just like kind of taken back as far as like, you know, this crossover is happening. It's like it's.
I just have a hard time. I have a hard time believing it to begin with. So like, I don't know. There's just something about it that seems off. There's something about it that doesn't seem like it's a real thing. And I mean, Nintendo's so particular about their characters.
I mean, they've worked with third parties before when it comes to their Nintendo characters. So.
Yeah, but not in a way that. What other crossover things has Mario been in that would constitute this being a reality? Like Sonic. That's it. I mean, for crying out loud, he's not even in like Racing Transformed.
Yeah.
Man, it just seems so like.
It's weird. It's weird, but at the same time, you think about it. We've talked about this multiple times on this show. Nintendo is an enigma. We don't know why the decisions they make, but they do it. And this will fall in line with one of them, if you think about it. I know.
I'm going to be very skeptical about this until I see it.
I know. It's weird. I think I'm on board with you. I do not know if this is real or not. If it is, this would be the weirdest crossover, possibly in video game history. Possibly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is real until I see some concrete evidence. So that's what I'm saying. That's where I'm sticking my flag.
Yeah, definitely.
And I definitely don't want the game because it doesn't sound like a crossover that I would consider fun.
Well, you never know though. Like we don't know much of anything else about the game. I mean, other than if it's RPG and have like local co-op. Like, don't judge a book by its cover. Is what I'm saying.
I'm judging a book by its crossover. Is what I'm doing. It's just two so different worlds. To me, it was like mixing the DC universe with Mortal Kombat. Like, there's a reason it didn't work.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what it feels like to me. So like that's kind of why I'm like, But like you said, Nintendo's an enigma wrapped in a riddle, and Ubisoft is they'll do anything they can to make a buck. So
right, definitely.
Whatever, we'll see what happens.
Okay, so before we get into our main topic of tonight, we got to go into our. Hang on a second to set this up. Into our Overwatch minutes of great deeds. Give me a second here as I set this up. Give me a minute. Where's my YouTube? Yes. As Greg transforms here. Let's see. Hang on. Overwatch. Same song. Okay. And here we go. Victory. Let's see, is this the... hang on. Oh, it's loading. Hang on, I want to make this work. Oh no! Dropping frames. Ah!
Yeah, you're cutting up real bad. I'm sure that I sound like terrible in this on the...
Oh my god, I'm still recording on local. Wait, what just happened? What's... Did my internet just... What? Oh, hang on.
Oh, you sound better now.
Okay. There we go.
Internet took a dip.
Yes, it did. Hang on. Shit. What happened?
I think the stream crashed.
I'm gonna try again. Hang on.
I think it just took such a strong dip that, like, it just cut everything.
Okay, we good? We good. All right, we back. Sorry about that, guys. Internet went... So, I got the song ready. All right, here we go. Try this again. This is Yo Overwatch Minute with Greg Deeds. Yeah. Okay. All right, there you go. Greg, you there?
Yeah, sorry, the music was still going, so I wasn't sure if you wanted me to go.
Yeah, go for it. The music is on.
Okay. All right, so a few things have happened the past few weeks. A lot of rumors. My goodness, the rumor mill is huge right now with Overwatch, and primarily because the year anniversary is coming up on the 24th. It's gotten to the point where like people are saying there's 3 new maps coming out, there's 3 new characters coming out. I can say this without a shadow of a doubt: it's all rumors, and I'm not going to sit there and speculate on rumors. That's not the kind of Overwatch news guy that I am. But I will say this, that people have found code within the newest update that suggests we are definitely getting an event on the 23rd. Or, sorry, 24th or whatever, around that time of the year, their anniversary. People have data mined the footage and has found that specific characters have, like, it'll list all of the event stuff that they've gotten at that point, and then, like, 6 new items, or 4 new items, or 3 new items, or what have you. They're just locked. Like, they can't see what it is exactly, but it's an item itself. The other thing that was important that people had pointed out, the reason that the whole, like, what new maps are we getting, is because a few weeks ago, Jeff Kaplan had pointed out that there are 3 new maps in development and that they want to add into play. And then when people looked at that source code again, they had found that 4 maps are getting, like, slight alterations, it looks like. Nepal, Kings Row, few are getting just slight alterations. Sorry, hang on one second, guys. But I'm not, like, nobody knows what the maps are. We just know that there were 3 individual asset pieces on the bottom of that source code. So the major and more likely speculation is we're getting an event at the end of May. A lot of characters are getting new skins, new items, new sprays, new voice lines, yada 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 yada. And we're definitely the event is going to take place on multiple maps, regardless if we get through 3 new maps or not. I think it would be awesome if we got 3 new maps. One new map that's basically what Echo Point Antarctica is, which is a 3v3 map or just a special type of map would be really cool. An extra one of those. Another a capture point map like Beijing Tower and the 3-point capture maps. And then one like payload map or something like that. I think that'd be really sweet. But I'm not going to say that's what we're getting because nobody knows. There have been a few changes to the PTR, or they're adding to the PTR. A few characters are getting like just slightly changed. Nothing major. Like I guess Genji was having a problem where he couldn't immediately attack after jumping off a wall. So they're just fixing that. Soldier 76 is getting his damage nerfed by literally 1 point. So it's just the tiniest alterations you're not even going to really notice. Let's see what else. Oh, so way back when the game had come out, this group of guys were watching other streamers open up loot boxes. And something they had noticed was that how often you get rare or legendary items. And they basically laid out the numbers. And this was recently confirmed, where in China, there's a law that basically says that video game companies have to display the odds of their random loot boxes or loot crates or what have you in any game. And it turns out that every loot box you open will have at least 1 blue item, every single one, no matter what. Every 5.5 loot boxes you get a purple item, which is rare, and every 13.5 you get a legendary. So that was a thing. Let's see, what else was there? People in Heroes of the Storm are actually really irritated with the Nexus challenge because, and I'm guilty of this because a lot of people are throwing matches in quick play to get the Diva skin. At least it was that bad on Tuesday. And it'll be bad again this upcoming Tuesday and the following Tuesday. It's just a situation where when you force players who are into one specific game, a competitive game, go into another competitive game, and they have a certain limit that they have to reach in order to get that reward, they're not going to take it seriously. And so there's been a lot of complaint about Overwatch or Blizzard as a whole never doing this again. And I get why they're doing it because they want more people to check out more of their products, but it really screws over the HOTS fan base. That being said, I have my Diva skin, so
I see.
And there's still no information on the Overwatch League. Enough information. It's just nothing's really come out about it. And with the recent update, I thought this was cool. This was a personal experience. This has nothing to do with actually, before I get to that, it should be noted there are a few glitches in Overwatch right now, a few bug-breaking glitches, or game-breaking glitches that you might come across. One is specifically on PC where your countdown timer to respawn hits 0 and you just never respawn. And the only way to fix it is to exit the game and get back in. Which, if you're in a competitive match, that really sucks. But it's not super, super common. There was another glitch, I don't remember what they said, but it seemed more of a funny glitch than an actual problem. But the real bad one, other than the one I just mentioned, is something that players can do. An exploit glitch, exploit glitch, if you will. And that's an invincible Symmetra teleporter. So, if a Symmetra goes onto the point, presses a series of buttons in the exact right order when putting down a shield generator, she will actually put down a teleporter that has no animation for the teleporter like part. It's just a thing on the floor, and there's no health bar, and it cannot be destroyed. And it has infinite teleports.
Okay.
So they have acknowledged it, and they said that if people are caught doing it, definitely report them, and they will be banned for exploiting a glitch. Because the only way to do that glitch is by a player doing it, not an accidental thing. Like, I could kind of see how they could do it accidentally, but you'd still, like, it doesn't make any sense to do it accidentally. Like, I could tell you, but I don't want to be part of the problem, so I'm not going to tell you.
Right, I hear you.
But yeah, but on a lighter side, because that was a downer. But on a lighter side, something I thought was really cool was, if you remember a while back, the voice actor for Lucio was at BlizzCon, and he was interacting with the other voice actors for Overwatch, and it was a hilarious little thing he did. You can watch the whole 2-minute video on YouTube.
Yeah.
Some of those are actual voice lines in the game now.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah, I was on. It was competitive. I was waiting for a match to start. I was playing as Lucio, and somebody else said Winston, and Lucio goes, "Hey, Winston, how's it hanging?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just doing some science stuff." And then, oh, I get it. I was like, that's amazing. And so I looked it up, and apparently, there's an interaction with Torbjorn where he doesn't pronounce Torbjorn's name correctly.
That's awesome.
And there's another one with, I think, Symmetra, where she's like, "You were not destined for greatness." He's like, "Yes, I was."
That was great.
So that's awesome. That's awesome that the voice actors have that influence, that the fans have that influence. I was so in love with that, so enamored by that. So yeah, that's your Overwatch Minute, guys.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that has been your Overwatch Minute with Greg Dietz. All right, so before we get into our conversation of the main topic of the night, I need to restart Skype because it crashed. So let me get Greg back on the horn here. And you're back. Hey, welcome back. He can move now. It wasn't just a still image.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know that that's me.
But it is indeed him. Thank you for the Overwatch Minute. Now, our main discussion for tonight, as we said in the top of the show, E3 is upon us in a month. We are getting closer to the E3 time, and I think it'd be a good time to start some E3 discussions. So what we're going to do for the next couple weeks, up until the E3 event itself, we're going to give our predictions, give our thoughts about what's going to happen with each press conference for each major company. And tonight, we're going to talk about Microsoft, because Microsoft is let's hang on, see what their schedule is. So they actually are going to be on a Sunday, on June 11th at 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Not going for that Monday slot that they usually do every year for E3. They're actually switching to Sunday. It's also the same day as Bethesda, which Bethesda's time has not been announced yet. My guess is probably maybe much earlier in the day. But Microsoft starting things off on the Sunday before E3. So I think the first thing to talk about, as far as what exactly they're going to, at least in my opinion, they're going to show off, the Scorpio. They've been talking about it for the past couple months. They've been touting the fact that it's the most powerful gaming machine, better than Xbox One. They're going to be out there showcasing that thing. At least I hope so. And maybe they'll showcase it at the beginning of the press conference and then show hey, this is the game console, the new one coming out. I'm gonna wild guess say that the Scorpio is coming out fall this year. It's one of my early weird predictions, but
I mean, if you count November as fall, then yes, but I don't maybe late September, maybe, but yeah, I don't. I mean, I definitely this year for sure. I completely agree about this year, but I think that 90% of the press conference is going to be with the Scorpio.
Agreed. I think that it's going to be about the Scorpio, and then it's going to be here are the games that are going to be on the Scorpio, or Scorpio and Xbox One, and also PC.
Yeah. I was gonna say because they're what they're really trying to push for, at least they did last year, and from what I've seen this year, is they're really pushing for the whole play. You know, like there's no limit. Like whatever console you choose to have, you're gonna get to play.
Yeah. I think one of the big things to notice, and I mean, and this is something that, you know, that kind of makes me jealous too, is that Microsoft has been making these consumer what's the word I'm looking for? Consumer positive, like just basically getting on the consumer side when it comes to some of the decisions for the Xbox One. You know, recently, you know, they did the backward the games you can play on your system from Xbox 360, as to where you can actually download those games onto your Xbox One versus Sony's PSN network, where you can only rent them for a certain amount of time on their Gaikai service online, and you can only play those games online. You can't download into your system. So Microsoft is making these moves to have been very consumer friendly, and they obviously can't catch up to what PS4 is right now, as far as like, you know, the console war per se, quote unquote, and the sales as far as like, you know, how much PS4s are being sold for as to Microsoft Xbox Ones, but that it is getting closer than what it was before. I think that Microsoft is going to come out of the guns and, again, start with the Scorpio. That's one of the biggest things they're going to talk about, and then go with the games they're going to talk about. I think that they will showcase maybe a new Halo.
Nah. You know what? Actually, I think they might announce the next Halo. Halo 5 came out 2015. Like, came out in 2015, and they didn't announce anything for new Halo last year, but I think this year they might announce Halo 6.
I think so. Because the Halo Wars...
Because there was...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
There was already an article about how the developers took lessons from fans' reaction of Halo 5, and how negatively it was received. And I think the developers know that the fans don't. They certainly don't want a game where you don't play as Master Chief almost 90% of the time.
I think there might be an announcement for Halo 6, because Halo Wars 2 was last year, and prior to that was Halo Wars 5. I mean Halo 5. Sorry. I think that there might be in any case. I think that they'll show a new trailer for Gears, or something that hint for the new Gears game. I think one of the interesting things, because like they're not specifically tied to a console, but they are third party. What would you guess? Which press conference do you think Call of Duty World War II will show up on, Microsoft or Sony?
Say that again. Say the question again.
Because Call of Duty have always been on Microsoft's press conference for the most part, but then they went to Sony last year. Do you think that because of the new announcement of World War II that would be on Microsoft's stage to showcase it, especially to showcase the Scorpio?
It's going to depend on what each company has to show. I think that because Microsoft is going to be concentrating on their new console so much, but Sony's not going to be concentrating on a new console, there's a very good chance it'll be a Sony and not Microsoft.
Yeah, good point. A part of me says that the Microsoft wants Call of Duty World War II to showcase Scorpio. That's my gut instinct is telling me. You might be right though in the case that, because they were at Sony press conference last year, so I'm not quite sure what exactly happened. And plus, the Call of Duty brand name isn't as highly sought after as it used to be. I don't think Microsoft's going out of its reach or out of its means to get like that game into their press conference or brand, whatever. I feel like my gut is telling me that it will be at the Microsoft press conference, but it may not. I think the other things to kind of look out for Microsoft is that with the Scorpio, I'm more than certainly there's going to be a price cut for the Xbox One and the Xbox One S. I think there'll be a price cut. announce at the press conference. But
You think it's gonna be announced at Microsoft?
yeah, I think it's gonna announce at Microsoft press conference. There'll be a price cut for their consoles, and then Sony's gonna counter with that. Oh, we got a price cut too. I think there'll be a price cut. I think so. I don't know. I'm throwing out some wild guesses right now at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I think my prediction of how the entire conference is going to go is that they're going to come out and they're going to be like, so y'all heard about the Scorpio? Well, here it is, and they're going to have a copy of it.
Yeah.
They're going to show it off like in its actual, like, the guy whoever comes out is going to hold it up and yada yada yada.
Mark Cerny comes out with the console in hand. Oh God.
Something like that. That's what I'm imagining. I know you kind of chuckled about it, but like I kind of see it doing that.
Yeah.
I see them really, really pushing for that. Really making sure that everyone understands what it can do, what its power is. That you don't need a 4K TV to enjoy it. That just all this crap about it, and then they're going to be like, and here's a game you can play on it, and they're not going to say anything. They're like, here's a game you can play on the Xbox Scorpio. I think you know what I actually think they're going to do on top of that? I think they're going to come out, talk about it for like 10 minutes, show it, and then show a price point and release day.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're gonna fucking punch you hard in the face right off the bat.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that announce a game that's gonna come to the Scorpio, and then at the end of it be like, also Xbox One and PC.
Yeah. Of course.
Because that's just like the motif of what always happens. But I think that Microsoft hasn't really changed with how they do their press conferences.
Yeah, they've been pretty safe. Like every press conference they had, like it's all been safe. Like cookie cutter as far as like previous years, and you know it's no different than last year than the year before that. And I'm expecting it to be another cookie cutter safe move for them this year again. It's just a matter of like what specifically.
Well, I think that what they're gonna have to do. Sorry, God dang it. What they're gonna have to do is prove to the audience, prove to the consumers that buying a Scorpio is worth their time. Because if I can play all the games on the Scorpio on my Xbox One or my PC, why do I need a Scorpio? What is the point? People went, well, Microsoft seems to try to get rid of their own console if they have all the games available that are exclusives be also played on PC. Like, why do I need an Xbox if those games can, like, I can play them elsewhere? And that's a very good point. Like, there's almost no point. If you have a high working PC with Windows 10, you don't need an Xbox One at all.
This specifically is for people who don't have a PC or who play on PC. These are more or less the Scorpios for people who play on the couch.
And there's the other side. There's the other aspect to it. How are you going to sell a Scorpio to people who already own an Xbox One?
Yeah. Because that's the same case that was for people who bought the PS4 Pro, because it was the same situation. They had everybody had a PS4, including me. And when the PS4 Pro was shown off, or when it was at the press conference that they did, and they were like convincing people like, it looks so much better than the PS4 older version. Depending on the game and the company that allows it. They specifically made sure that the only thing that was changed between the PS4 Pro and PS4 is specifically just the graphics. Like everything else wise, frames, enhancements or whatnot. Like they want the game to be the same. The only difference is if you want to have a prettier version of the game. And sometimes games that work, and sometimes the work that don't work on the system. So in this situation, like if you were an Xbox One owner and you were trying to find a reason to buy an Xbox or a Scorpio, whatever, I'm hoping that they Well, actually no. Scorpios actually sounds cool. Um, but like a reason to convince people, like if you don't have a powerful PC, you can get a Scorpio, and that's just as good as a PC, or something to that matter. Because we're now in a day and age where multiple consoles are like phones. Like we have three versions of a console in this generation, a la iPhone, 3GS and whatnot. So
there just has to be something about it that makes me go, man, I really want to trade in my Xbox One for a Scorpio. Like, there just has to be something stand-outish about it. Because as of right now, like, having an Xbox One is fine. And even with their exclusive stuff, like, there's nothing coming out of the Scorpio that is, like, if they come out and they're like, well, unfortunately, Halo 6 is Scorpio exclusive.
That's what I worry about. That's what I really worry about. They try to go that route.
They're not going to, though, because that's bad. That's dumb on sales.
Yeah.
And Microsoft, unlike Nintendo, listens to their consumers, and they're not going to restrict the possibility of selling copies of the game by having it on the new console only. I really, really don't believe that they're going to do that. Like, sure, people could argue, well, I wouldn't put it past them. They've done shady stuff in the past, and you are correct, they have. But they've made it abundantly clear that they won't do that. And if they do that, they're going to lose a lot of people that are already on the fence.
Yeah, it's a hard sell. It's a hard sell. I think it has to be with exclusives it has to be exclusives, and I wonder what exactly they're gonna do, because PS4 and Sony made sure the fact that when you buy a PS4, you're only buying it to make it look more pretty and in 4K. But the Xbox One to the Scorpio, like I wonder what exactly Microsoft's gonna do, because are they going to tie to their games the same as PS4 and Sony in terms of like tying them to, this game will only look prettier, but it will still retain the same aspect of the game, frames, and everything else? Or are they going to allow companies to say like, hey, you can develop a far better game on the Scorpio than you can do in Xbox One with whatever features you want, whatever graphic enhancements you want? Like, are they going to go that route? Because if they do, then it makes it dicey for a lot of people to then, okay, well then I should upgrade to the Scorpio, because game companies in the future are going to make far better games than we have on Xbox One. Kind of, I won't say kind of dividing the fan base.
Yeah, that's gonna have to be their biggest selling point is, like, this will be the console for the next 7 years, whereas the Xbox One will slowly die out. So you don't have to get a Scorpion now, but you're gonna want to get one with the next couple of years.
But if you're making that case, then why not buy it now? Why wait?
No, I'm saying that this is what I like about this idea, Anthony. What I like about this idea is it gives people the next 3 years to get ready to buy a Scorpio. The next 5 years to get ready to buy a Scorpio. Unlike Nintendo, that went, last console doesn't matter, Switch. People went, okay, I guess the last game I'm buying for my Wii U is Zelda. Like, thanks. Every game from here on out I can't get. But Microsoft's taking a different route. Microsoft goes, we know that games are expensive to people, like to individuals, because even though they cost more than the $60 standard, or like a new system comes out and it's like it's $500, like it costs a lot more than that. Microsoft and Sony have notoriously come out and said we've lost money on sales. Microsoft is taking this really brilliant route. Something that, like, PlayStation isn't doing. Like, the PS4 Pro is still a PS4 that's just slightly better. What I'm hoping is that the Scorpio is the next Xbox, right? Uh-huh. That, it is the next generation, but games, the important part, won't be restricted across platforms. Not yet. Not for the next few years. See what I'm saying? Like, they kind of did that with the 360 to the Xbox One. A lot of games for like the next like 2.5 years came out on both. There were a few exclusives, but Microsoft's going, no more of that. No more of the Titanfalls, where like that was only on Xbox One, period. No more of that. It's going to be every game available for both for like 3 years. And then eventually, 3 years down the line, Scorpio will get its exclusive. I think that that's a much better idea because it just gives low-income people a higher option, a higher chance to get the new system without feeling restricted to the new stuff.
If they made it possible where the transition is seamless and makes it better for people who have an Xbox One, I am all for it. A part of me feels like people who buy an Xbox One kind of feel duped into like, if there's a more powerful console coming in the future, or people who have an Xbox One already right now, like I feel like people have been duped into like, you bought this console which you thought would last you for a good 4 or 5 years, and you're already coming out with a new console, so you're expecting me to buy another new one like in the near future. So then
in that regard, Anthony, every company's expecting that out of you. They're
right,
just doing it in different ways.
But this is more. I mean, okay, times have changed definitely. Consoles are no longer in that span of like 5 years and we moved on to a new console, because that normally what it used to be, with the exception of last generation, because that was freaking almost 8 years, almost 10 years with the 360 and PS3. It's just it to me it feels weird, the fact that the console market is now like the phone market in terms of upgrading to a new edition or a better edition of a phone or a console. My question is that if that keeps happening in this rate, I wonder, like price wise, like can people afford these? Like if this consistently happens every 2 to 3 years, I don't know.
Oh, I don't think that'll be the case.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll be the case. I think by the time we get a new Microsoft console, it'll be 6 years after the Scorpio releases. We're just gonna have, the past generation and the new generation overlapping for 3 years. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot of examples of like it kind of working in the past, but them still having exclusives for the new system, and that's how they're trying to sell it. And they understand that doesn't necessarily work anymore nowadays because people just don't care enough. They'll play games of the games that they want to play. And I think that Microsoft is taking a very interesting, but also the only company taking the path that I think it needs to go. Because again, I've said it 1,000 times, Anthony. You can only a console's only as good as its games.
Yeah.
A company is only as good as its games, and Microsoft really needs to step up their exclusive game. What did we get this past spring when it came to Microsoft? We got Halo Wars 2, and it wasn't that good.
Yeah. Not to mention that some of their exclusives that were supposed to be happening ends up being canceled. Famously Scalebound was one of them. Apparently it was like being worked on for a very long time by Platinum Games, and they had to cut it.
Well, I think also exclusives are a load of hockey, but whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have to step up their exclusive games, because if you want to go pound for pound, PS4 has the better exclusives than Xbox One's, hands down, right now.
Oh, absolutely. No argument.
So they definitely have to nail that down. They have to come out with some... They have to take some chances, not thinking about it. They got to get some original IPs. They need to showcase some new games, because they can't depend on, yesteryear of other games they have, like, Gears for now, but like it's not going to be something that's going to mainstay. Maybe in the future, I don't know, who knows. But basically they need some new IPs on their system, and they need some exclusives that people can look at and it's like, I want a console for this game, or this is making me want to play this game for this console. I think that the big thing, I think, for a lot of people is a price point. Let me check how much is PS4 right now? Or PS4 Pro. Hang on a second. Let me look it up right now. PS4.
I'm gonna guess 500.
price. PS4 Pro. This is off of their website. Give me the price. Enhancements. No, okay, you didn't give me the price. Oh, here we go. GameStop. All right, so at GameStop is listed as $400 for a PS4 Pro with 1 terabyte. It's actually not bad, actually. I think Microsoft. I think they'll match. I want to say they'll match it. I don't think they're crazy enough to do $100 cheaper.
Or how much is PS4 Pro?
$400.
Okay, so here's what I think's going to happen. Xbox Ones are going to drop in price down to $300. And Scorpios are going to be released at $500. Yeah, here's why.
I know.
Here's why.
Because of the tech. The tech. I know that because they keep touting it's the most powerful system, and that makes sense. Is it a good move though? That's a thing.
It goes with what I was saying earlier. It goes with the whole like, look, you want to play and you want to play now, buy the Xbox One. But like by the time 3 years comes around, we're gonna have some exclusives for the Scorpio. And then, but they're not done with the Xbox One. Like that's what I'm saying, Anthony. Is like 5 years from now is when the Xbox One will die.
But if that's the case, why are you showcasing it now?
Because they want people to slowly get on board with it.
I get it. It's a slow kind of transition into it, but I don't know.
I could be totally wrong, and they could they could completely surprise me, but
yeah, like to me, if I had a choice to play, if I had a choice that the graphics card I have right now, which basically runs the stream, I play games just fine, but oh no, it's actually like a PC actually, because then eventually I do have to upgrade to another graphics card, and then actually now, but usually it's around like 3-4 years, or 5 years, depending on how long I keep going with it. But point being, your point is right in terms of like it will transition people into a new console in due time. I think what is key is because what is key, I think, when it comes to transition is the library of games. Like, the games are all going to be played across everything. But I think eventually at some point, going off of your point, like they will be able to have games only be played on the Scorpio. So then people have to transition to the new system.
Well, yeah, they're definitely, absolutely. I just don't think it's going to. I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think that it's a poor choice to do this because, like I said, you're not segregating your fan base. You're not telling people from the Microsoft One camp who can't afford a Scorpio that they can't play these new games. You're telling them that they can. They just can't play it in 4K or whatever. Like, that's all.
Right. Okay, makes sense. Just kind of thinking about your point, as you actually may be more right than just thinking about it. Yeah, it makes sense. On top of that, because like my guess, like if you do get a Scorpio now, like I don't know how many games you'd be able to play on it versus play on Xbox One. But in the future, you will be able probably to play more games on it as the library builds up. Now it makes total sense now. Okay, I retract everything I said.
Yeah.
But it does.
Like it's not a bad thing if everyone can play all the games. Like it's less about them selling a new console now and more about them making sure that whatever choice you make, you can play their games.
Yeah.
But like you said, like I said, exclusives is what they're going to have to nail down.
Yeah.
In order to make this work right. Because if not, if they don't have good exclusives, if they don't have the games people want, no one's going to care.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, like it's what was I gonna say? Yeah, like I don't know, total lost train of thought, but yeah, that's kind of one of the main things going to be focused on for sure on a Scorpio in terms of like price point, in terms of games, in terms of like what exactly is going to be aiming for this press conference. I think that they will play it safe, as they always have. I mean, like I don't see anything different from what they usually do.
It won't be surprising. It won't be shocking. It won't be new. It'll be. You could set your watch to when they announce things. It's.
Yeah. A part of me wants to say, this is wishful thinking that there'll be a surprise announcement at the Microsoft press conference, but I don't think Microsoft's going to have a surprise announcement. So the last surprise announcement I ever saw from Microsoft was Final Fantasy 13 when it was announced for that console, alongside the PS3, and I lost my damn mind when that happened.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think Microsoft is going to have a surprise announcement as much as I want to. I think it's going to be pretty safe. Known titles, transition to action, fun, sports.
Sports. Sports and water sports.
Yeah, sports. Console sales. Game they're going to show that's going to be, for the people to get hype about and seen. I think that one of the games is going to be there for Microsoft press conference is going to be Destiny 2. I think. Oh no! Take that back. No. Take that back. That's Sony. Because they did the whole Destiny campaign on Sony. That's right. Never mind.
Yep.
So take that back.
I was like, we ain't seen anything about Destiny 2 at Microsoft.
Yeah.
Not a damn thing.
That was all Sony.
And that, I was like, that's because of that like slight exclusivity.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna have to just come down to just. Microsoft has to bring to the table a lot of things, and I think that can Microsoft do it? They can. They've been showing improvements for the past year and a half, or just like consumer-friendly choices in terms of buying people over. But it's going to be very interesting at E3. I think in Microsoft, I think that they'll play it safe. But I hope they have at least one surprise announcement. But we'll see. I don't know. I wish, but I don't think there will be.
I think that Halo 6 will definitely get shown a little bit in some capacity, either by announcement alone or an actual trailer. I think that like they own all the Rare stuff, so we might get that rumored Battletoads game.
Yeah. Forgot about that.
They might announce Killer Instinct 2. Because since that last season was over, like they're not making any more content for it.
I don't think they're gonna make Killer Instinct.
I said might. I said might.
I know.
They might announce something about Conquer, something substantial besides a add-on to a dumb game that nobody played.
I don't think so, but sure, why not?
I think they're done with. I mean, they might. I just doubt it. I really do that they're going to show anything about the glasses thing that they had. HoloLens. Thank you. They might show something about that, but I just doubt it because people just didn't seem interested enough, and I think they saw that. But I'm just thinking about all the exclusive content that Xbox has that they could surprise us with, and it's just not a huge thing. Like maybe a new Banjo-Kazooie, but I doubt it. Like I don't know. I see that 80% is going to be about the Scorpio. I see that throughout them talking about the Scorpio, they're going to announce a couple of games. Halo 6 for sure. I see that as a very strong candidate for announcement.
Yeah. Well, we'll see a new Gears of War, a new Forza Horizon.
I don't think we're going to see anything for Gears of War. Just because we had a new one last year. Like literally, October was the newest one.
I think we'll see a trailer or a sneak peek.
I don't think we will.
I think so.
I think I'm so confident of that I'm willing to take a bet. Yeah, because I don't see them announcing anything. Like if it has anything to do with Gears, it'll be like a special edition that has a bunch of stuff in it. But that's it.
I think
it will not be new Gears.
I think it will be just a trailer of a sneak peek into a new Gears, but that won't happen for another 2 years. but I think there'll be a
I don't even
trailer.
think we're getting an announcement for new Gears.
I think we are. This is
Nope.
okay. What do you want? What's the bet? I want this to happen. I am so certain that they are gonna have a not new Gears, but like just just something about Gears, about the new game. Like it doesn't have to be a full on trailer. Like freaking Marcus Phoenix can come out there and dead.
Like I said, no announcement is what I said.
Hmm.
I'm like 100% behind the idea of no announcement. I feel like what they're gonna do with Gears is they're gonna go Scorpio 4K, and then special edition Scorpio version of Gears 4 for in 4K, and that's as far as it's going.
Okay, well we can talk about our bet later on, but I still think it's gonna happen. My gut is telling me.
All right. That's been wrong more times than not, so I don't know.
I gotten a few right over on this podcast. Haven't been completely wrong yet. Well, I'm a lot wrong, but just I've gotten some things right. Yeah. Again, like a lot of this stuff is speculation on our part, just kind of predicting, as far as like past history of Microsoft. But I think in general we're just have to wait and see as far as like what they're gonna show off at E3 and what games are going to show off and what exactly they're going to talk about with the Scorpio and the price point and everything else wise. I think that just to cap it all off, like I didn't say what the price point for Scorpio is for me. I think it's going to match at $400. I don't think it's 500. I think 400.
I don't know. I see 500. I see 500 and them going like, but you don't have to buy it right away.
I think more than likely 400 and then the price cut under Xbox One and Xbox One S.
400 just seems super underpriced, in my opinion, but
they've been consumer friendly, man. They've been making some very consumer friendly moves as of late, so
I'm not. Yeah, that's definitely one I'm not arguing with you about necessarily, because you could absolutely be right on that, and I don't want to sit there and be like, my gut feeling says yes.
Right.
Because I mean, honestly, like from a business perspective, like it's just a super powerful system, at least in their mind it is, and to sell it for any less than 500 just seems like they're going to be taking a huge hit. But then again, that might be their end goal. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what Sony did with the PS4 and how they won out initially against the Xbox One. Was because they were like, hey, it's $100 less, and we're taking a huge hit in the gut because we're making it cheaper for you, so that way, we can win this battle, and it worked, ultimately, but...
Right. All right, well, I think that does it for us. Also, I will say, though, before we end the show, I do want to mention, because it is pretty important... Greg, I want to say congratulations for the half-empty energy tank team for raising, I believe, what was it, over 1,100?
It was 1,380.
Nice.
$1,380. It was for Direct Relief, which, if you showed up during the podcast or during the stream at all, we constantly were just shoveling information about the company down your guys' throats. But if you weren't there, they're a humanitarian group that gets direct relief to impoverished nations and to people that like they just can't get medical supplies, they can't get clothing and food and all that kind of stuff. And one of the cool things I thought was really neat was that every dollar that's donated is around $42 worth of medical supplies that go to people who need them, including mamas with babies. So. Prenatal care is basically what that means. So the fact that we were able to raise over $1,000 for them is extremely exciting, and I'm very, very proud of that. And all through the love of Mario.
Awesome, good stuff. Congratulations again for the stream and the charity and everything. Sweet, good to know that you guys did well. All right, so with that, Greg, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under Chub Rock Geek. I post mostly on Twitter. Instagram and Facebook get neglected quite a bit just because I'm not on those as much. But those are the 3 places you can definitely follow me. You can follow me on Snapchat. Forgot the name of the app. Under Chub Rock Snap. Uh, you can wow, drew a blank there. Oh, um, I'm currently working on my review for a game called Flint Hook for the website.
Cool.
I was able to actually get a copy of that, which is great.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I've been playing it quite a bit. I've probably dumped about 15 hours into it already. Um, but because it's a roguelike, it's very difficult to do that. Um, or beat it fast, I should say. Anyway, regardless, I'm working on that review. Uh, and you can find me every Saturday on Half Empty E-Tank. That's twitch.tv/halfemptyetank. And I love this, go to heet.tv and it'll go directly to our Twitch account. So go to heet.tv or heat.tv to subscribe, follow to our channel.
Mm-hmm. And then eventually you get to oh wait, no, wait, you guys no, wait, you don't have, sorry. I think you guys already have a sub button, but no, not yet. We're still
Not yet. We did
Not
get affiliate approval, so we can get bits. So if you have bits you want to share, go and dump half of them here and half of them there.
Yep, definitely.
See what I did there? See what I did?
Yep. And then eventually we'll have sub buttons as well. So it's gonna be an exciting time. Awesome. You can follow me on Twitter at DefectiveNaruto. You can follow work that I do at MissionStarPodcast.com alongside Greg Dietz' work there. Give me a second here so I get to the end slide card here. So if you enjoyed this podcast, if you enjoy us talking about E3 coverage, talking about, game news and whatnot, we have an audio version of this on iTunes and Stitcher. You can subscribe to it. Look up Mission Star Podcast on iTunes. We update those every week. We usually post them up on Tuesdays, so definitely check it out there. Also, we have another podcast called The Conover, which is where we talk about conventions and anime conventions and comic book conventions. It's just kind of the whole experience of us, like, should you go to this con or not? What happened at this convention? Check out The Conover is a review of conventions and all that good stuff. It's more of a storytelling of our experiences, honestly. It's on iTunes and Stitcher, and as well as on the podcast section on our website. Also, The Roaring Twenties is a podcast that Jeremy Wilson hosts on our website. They usually post on every Friday. It is a comic book. It is a entertainment, movies, anime, video games, all sorts of things. Check it out. It's on iTunes and iTunes and Stitcher as well. And you can definitely check it out and subscribe. And last but not least, again, I keep saying it, but the movie podcast is coming to iTunes and Stitcher at some point. I know I keep saying it, but at some point, I did put up a few of the or was it the last several recordings we had on past movie podcasts on our YouTube channel. So they are up on there, or will eventually. We have scheduled it to be live soon. But yeah, and we're gonna do one on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So be on the lookout for that as well.
Excited. That should be a huge podcast because there's a lot.
Man, you do not know.
Yeah, it was like the second you put that into our business conversation, like it was like how many people said I'm seeing it? It was like 6.
Yeah.
Not including us. So
yeah. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be massive. It's gonna be huge. With that, I think it's gonna do it. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.